doesn't get easier. That's the biggest thing. It's like it does not get easier. You just get better.
Welcome to the Results Grow podcast for home service professionals, where we chat with business owners and experts to discover what's delivered results to grow and succeed in their business. And now, your hosts, Steve Gatsby and Carrie Blackburn.
Hey everyone, Carrie here from Results Grow, and on this episode of the Results Grow podcast, we are going to have Oscar Hernandez from EcoAir Heating and Cooling, located in Riverside, California, serving all of Southern California. I'm here as always with my business partner and co-host of this podcast, Steve Gadsby. Steve, how you doing?
Doing great. How'd you like Oscar?
Oscar is a fantastic dude.
Yeah.
And I think everybody is going to get a ton of great info from this podcast, especially if you're just starting in the HVAC industry or if you have an established business. He has a lot of great insights as to what's worked for him, how he's grown the business, and he was even started it on the side while still being in the military, which is just blew me away that he's grown it from $100,000 a year to a multi-million-dollar business in just a short period of time. Steve, I know you have a little bit more background on him because you talk to him more regularly than I do.
No, Oscar's a rock star, and something I love about it, he's so humble, right? Like he'll never want to convey that he's this, like, he owns a multi-million-dollar contract. He's such a humble guy, but he's also a great person to learn from. So it's like he shares some insights in here, sort of like, what his core philosophy is towards a bunch of things. Like when times get hard, this is how he thinks about things, right? He has a lot of little nuggets that I think other people are going to get some takeaways from. So really, really enjoyed it. I think other people are going to enjoy this podcast too. So.
All right. So without spoiling anything, let's jump right over and we'll get right into the interview with Oscar.
All right.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Results Grow podcast. I'm here with Steve as normal, and today's guest is a great HVAC business owner located in Riverside, California, serving all of Southern California. It is Oscar Hernandez of EcoAir Heating and Cooling. Oscar, thanks so much for joining us today on the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, you've been with us for like a number of years now, which has been great. This has been a ton of fun. Get to know you and get to know your business and meeting some of your guys and all that kind of good stuff. I guess why don't we start like from the beginning? Like like the rough overview is you went from $100,000 to a multi-million-dollar company in like a relatively short period of time. But why don't we roll it back to like where did you start? Like, were you a tech at a company? Like, what is your story? Tell us your story.
Sure. So I got introduced to the air conditioning game back when I was 20 years old. I didn't have a job at the time. And a buddy of mine was like, hey, we just need some temporary help. He's in the new construction field of air conditioning. And he was like, hey, we just need some help for a few months. Just need you to run some duct. We'll teach you the ropes and stuff. At the time, I thought I was making really good money because they started me at $10 an hour. And
what year is this?
This was back in 2012, 2013.
Right.
So I was like, hell yeah. I was working at Little Caesars as a pizza guy, making $8.25 an hour. So I was like, yeah, I'm on board. And so that that temporary offer that got offered to me was turned into 4 years. So during those 4 years, I knew I didn't want to stay in the new construction side, just because for me I knew there was a lot more money to be made. So from during that time, I didn't even know I was going to stay in air conditioning. I wanted to join the military. So that's exactly what I did. I ended up joining the Air Force, became a cop for them, which is completely, random. I didn't stick with the air conditioning field. And while I was in the military, I also didn't want to stay there for a long time. So while I was in the military, I applied for my contractor license, got my contractor license back in 2017 while I was still in, and my contract didn't end till the beginning of 2021. So I was kind of in a way, kind of preparing myself.
Yeah. So you were still like active duty military until 2021.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So what I did, I mean, I got my contractor license, thought I was on top of the world, thought I was gonna get, all the jobs handed to me. I was like, this license is power, it's all downhill from here. Completely wrong. Getting your contractor license is the first step in the rest of the craziness that comes with it. And it took me 5 tries to pass the contractor test, so it was a long perseverance. That's why I felt like I was on top of the world when I actually got my contractor license.
Hell yeah.
It was so hard for me. It was, I'm just not a good test taker. But
just rolling it
yeah,
back for like a second. So like you were like 20 and you were like, if you're doing NewCon and you were a 20-year-old, they probably had you doing the worst stuff. Like you were,
oh yeah, literally making TYs, strapping,
you were in attic at like 140 degrees and they
yep.
give you they give you the worst of the worst. Like I was I started at similar age as you, right? And
Yeah.
also I've had apprentices working for me, and generally they're like the tougher ones. So unfortunately, they do get
Yeah.
those jobs. So you started out as like the roughest part of the industry, making arguably the worst money in the industry. And
That's exactly right. Yeah.
how did you like? Usually, or a lot of times, that's a tougher transition to go from what you went to being a business owner in the HVAC, because you got a bunch of missing parts, like the service
Yeah.
you're missing. So like, how did
So
you,
much.
I guess, walk us through? So sort of like when you actually got the business rolling, what was the buildup on how you just had to learn everything, right?
Yeah. I literally, I went straight from new construction to knowing nothing about service calls. All I knew is how to do rough, right? Which is running a line set, running duct, and occasionally setting up the units, before drywall goes up. So yeah, I that was, another rude awakening. It's like, dang, I have so much. So I felt extremely discouraged for the longest time. So I try to stick with new construction and would find, a lot of these general contractors. And the only problem with these general contractors are always looking for the cheapest price. So I would charge, extremely cheap, and the pay is extremely slow too. So that's why, I wouldn't get over
Oh,
this.
so you actually your first jobs were new construction.
Yep.
Oh,
For about a year while I was in the
wow.
military, I would do
Ouch.
this.
Like that's painful because they also want to use you as their bank.
Exactly.
Like it's like you gotta, oh my lord. So you had to basically, as a guy starting out in the industry, you had like we eventually got into some new construction, but
Yeah.
I hated it. Like it was basically we had to put all this money out. It sat there forever. Then I didn't trust the contractors. Some of them, drag it out to not pay you. So that's a hard place to start. Very hard place
It's
to start.
it's the worst. It really is. Well, nowadays we do mess with a little bit of construction, but it's more like custom homes. So and we ask for like 50% deposit. Like
Yep,
screw
yep,
that,
yep.
but yeah. So I did that for a while, and I was like, dude, like I'm not making any money. I was like, well, I know that add-ons, right? When like it's an existing house and people are already living in it, it's really fast money. Or it's the fastest, right? You can make, at the time, a side job, you can make, $1,000 in a day or something like that. So I had like two or three side jobs under my belt, and I knew what that was providing. So, I was like, okay, well, how do I make the phones ring, or how do I bring in these leads? And I was like, well, like the most logical thing is go to another shop that you want to be like, right? So I got in contact with Victor Rancour, all through Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, dude, just if soup, like the coolest dude too, super successful now as well." But he ended up just inviting me to a shop. Literally sat down with him for 45 minutes, left his shop, and that kind of changed everything from there. He doesn't even know this. I should probably let him know this. He probably loved the story too. But I left, and he told me, he was like, "Well, you got to have a financing company, and you got to pay a shit ton of marketing." So I was like, "Shit." Fuck, I don't have a lot of money for me to spend these large amounts of cash to marketing. So I kind of, you know, sat on it for a little bit, and then I was just like, okay, how do I get HVAC leads? So I just kind of asked Mother Google, and what do you know? I came across like HVAC Grow, and and then I saw Victor Rancourt's video. I was like, oh shit, you know, if it works for him, then you know, might as well work for me. And that's how I got introduced to you guys.
Right
And
on.
this was back in 2020 is I think the first year that I used you guys, and I was kind of, you know, skeptical and stuff, but as soon as I started paying for marketing, then I was like, okay, yeah, it's true. You have to pay for marketing to wheel in money. And a lot of contractors don't want to do that. You know, they think it's a waste of money. They think the old school way, which is word of mouth and stuff. So so yeah, that's what it was. And then got out of the military at 21. At that point, I had done, I think, 300,000 in 2020, just doing it part time. But it was all because of the marketing that I used with, you know, HVAC Grow, and then yeah, it just kind of went from there. And then I went full time last year. Last year we hit 700,000 in sales, and then this year we're at 2 million. So we've grown pretty quickly, and I want to keep doubling. That's the goal right now. Keep doubling every year. So
Hey, listen up. Oscar just explained how he grew his business to 2 million in just 2 years with online marketing. He learned quickly that he needed to invest in marketing to get his business to grow. If you are a business owner like Oscar, you know how much of a pain it is to learn and then figure out how to drive leads to your business through online marketing. Whether you are a home service business owner in the HVAC, roofing, artificial turf, or renovation business, Results Grow can help you. Our team of home service industry online marketing experts will help you with unlimited, low cost leads from social media advertising, getting your business in front of hundreds or thousands of people each day, complete ad design by our home service design and marketing experts, immediate and automated text message and phone follow ups, exclusive and not shared leads only for your business. Plus, no long term commitments. You can cancel at any time. All of this with a 100% don't pay until you get your first lead guarantee. That's right. Do not pay us until you get your first lead. 100% don't pay us. That's our guarantee for you. Book a free consultation with us here at Results Grow and see how we can help you, whether it's HVAC, like Oscar, roofing, renovations, or more. The consultation is absolutely free. Head over to resultsgrow.com/free. We want you to grow your business like Oscar without having to do your own marketing. Whether you are tired of throwing money away on marketing that doesn't work, or even tired of trying to do marketing on your own. If we discover in this meeting we can't help you with your marketing during this consultation, we won't waste your time or your money. We'll let you know right away whether we can help you or whether we can't. Go to resultsgrow.com/free. That's resultsgrow.com/free. Now, back to the podcast.
yeah.
That is amazing that you've grown that fast. So, when did you, like what year, or you can even say month, did you specifically start the business?
Well, technically, in the state of California, I've been in business, or I've been a licensed active contractor since 2017, but I wouldn't really consider it until I officially got out of the military. So I, you know, was hitting this thing, you know, full speed, like full time, so to speak. So I would say the beginning of 2021. The beginning
Okay.
of 2021, that's when I really like, put my head down, and it was just me and one guy, and now it's 12 of us, so it's
Wow.
crazy. And what's crazy too is we don't do any service calls, and I was talking to Steve about this too. It's just we just do nothing but installs, and then that's if I would, and that's another goal of mine next year, right? I want to at least have one or two techs, next year, and that'll probably be a lot more revenue as well. So
Yeah,
I'm learning. Yeah.
like yeah, service. It's if you kind of set it up right, it can be extremely like high profit margins, like higher profit margins than your replacement. But then you got another mouth to feed, so it's like you almost want like a way to dabble in it. You could take on like a subcontractor service guy. They're going to charge a ton of money, but it's like
Right.
you just need a way to kind of like because if you have to start paying a guy a ton of money right away, you need his calendar full. So It's a
100%.
bit of a tricky one, but you're going to start as you get as your company gets older, you're going to have a service guy anyway to deal with all of your warranty stuff and all of the breakdowns from previous installs. So you're going to have one anyway, and then you might as well make it like by the end of it for us at like year 10. We were like paying a service guy just to deal with 10 years of warranty issues, which probably, and then you take the profits that he had on the other half of his calendar, probably balance stuff out. So you're going to need you want it so you're not losing money on any kind of warranty stuff, right? So
Exactly. No, yeah, I completely agree. So, I mean, the fact that I don't have a full-time technician just kind of goes to show that I'm still a fairly green company, but
yeah.
I just know that, but that's another thing too, right? We get to the warranties very fast. Like I'll send one of the installers, and so that way we keep everybody happy. But
Yep.
but yeah, that's definitely the case. So
Since you were in the military, I just have a question for you. Is that, do you find that you learned anything from being in the military to help towards running your business?
um definitely like the leadership part, like talking to people like human beings. I had really bad leadership, so well, not bad leadership, but there was always a lot of room for improvement on their end. So I actually learned a lot of stuff that I didn't like and incorporated into my way. Once I got the business going, but yeah, I think the attention to detail, the OCD behind it. Um, I mean, I'm not the most organized person at all. I mean, you would think, wake up 4 in the morning sharp. Sometimes I sleep in and stuff. So, but it definitely did help me be responsible. That's the big one. I was kind of like a loose cannon, young before, and that was like my therapy. That was like my rehab. To do things right, and to get shit on a lot in the military for my own mistakes. So, and to owning your own mistakes, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what happened. It's your company and it's your reputation. So, you got to take
Right.
responsibility. Taking responsibility is a huge one. So,
Right. And obviously, I mean, nobody wants to make mistakes, but we all learn more from the mistakes we make than the actual successes that we have.
amen.
So,
Yeah.
right. And so, when it came to, I imagine hiring that first person or their first few people must have been quite stressful, not only finding the right people, but also going, okay, am I going to have enough work for them? Am I going to make enough money to cover them?
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely something. So the way I did it was I just offered like a salary position. So it's like I'm guaranteeing them, because since you're such a green company, it's hard for somebody to trust it, right? Like, everybody starts a company and kind of takes a shit. So I was like, okay, well, let me guarantee you a paycheck every Friday, and that's how I recruited my first guy. Um, and then from there, it's so weird. Like, I wouldn't even say if you're a new contractor, I would say don't worry about that yet. It'll kind of come organically, or it's something weird that happens. I don't know, the universe or something starts bringing people, and then like
Yeah.
it's so weird. I don't know, but I remember I would stress. Yeah, like, oh my god, how am I gonna find people? It's like now it's like, oh, now I have people like applying now, and they just kind of start. I don't know. It's like an energy thing. I don't know. It's weird, but
I
that's
don't
just the
think
way I
I
see
don't
it.
think you're that far of base. Like we had a name for it. We called it like the feng shui of business. And it's like it's in
Yeah,
to me, I think it comes from if and again, this is out there, but it's like if the universe knows that you are that you will always show up and you will always whatever leads are come in, you're jumping and everything, it knows you're hungry, it knows you want it. Like it's like doors just start opening and things start coming towards you. And I think the inverse of that is also true. Let's say some company is they're doing millions of dollars a year, but they're like, it's too busy to take a phone call. You know what? We're so busy. I think the universe goes, well, you don't want the work. You know what? Screw that. Let's start diverting this to Oscar. And it's like there's this feng shui
yeah,
of business, and if it knows, if it knows that you want it, it's gonna just start. I agree with you. Like I don't really know how the company got built. For myself, it just happened, right? And it's
yeah.
because you're hungry, and yours is growing amazingly fast. Like what type of, usually to get to the next level of revenue, there's problems that you need to solve. Solving problems and growing your revenue is exactly the same thing. So what problems do you think that you're going to go through or that you need to solve currently to get to 4 million, to get to 3 million?
I would say the biggest thing is obviously minimizing warranties as best you can, right? Like sending, more training towards the guys. And I think the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle that I'm gonna have to get through is dealing with people, right? Humans. It's even right now, I was talking to my sales guy, and I told him it's like taking care of a bunch of kids sometimes. It's like, and you want to make sure they do a good job, right? It's like if the simplest things, right? Like if they're not in uniform or they're not wearing the pants that, I'm obviously investing in them to wear, they're in the service industry. So
Herding cats is what we used to refer to it. Herding cats.
yeah, okay. I like that. Yeah, so right now it's just taking care, making sure, they're finishing the job, right? And if they're not half-assing that, it looks neat. I think at the end of the day, there's other things, right? Like, potential maybe money, right? But you always have to, that's why I like to just grow organically. So I'm not like, there's not a lot of stuff on my plate. Although today, I mean, it still feels like there is, but yeah, I think just dealing with people, this is kind of like a character building business too, So
Totally.
you gotta make sure that they're growing and they want to grow and they want to be better for themselves, right? Like you want to make sure that they feel good, right? Because people are very intuitive, they
And
know.
when you say people, like, are you referring to kind of dealing with your own, like your own team? Or
Yeah, my own team, and then when people are intuitive, I mean like the customers, like they know when like somebody's being a dick or something like that. The last thing I need is I need something less than a 5-star review, right? So
totally.
it's huge. It's huge. I want to make sure everybody gets that 5-star experience, and fortunately, right now, we have that 5-star. So.
No, what you're saying resonates, and I remember going through all that stuff, and it doesn't really, like, you're going to level up again, and then you're going to have to redo everything and refigure out everything again at every level. So
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it doesn't get easier. That's the biggest thing. It's like it does not get easier. You just get better.
you said something a couple seconds ago that basically, the more that I think this is what you're saying, the more that you build up and build the character and develop your team, the better that your entire business goes. And
Amen. Yes.
I always found that, and it's like whatever you can do, you're basically in the people building business. Like a lot of these guys that work for you, probably they have aspirations that they want to have and that's fine. Let them have their own company. We had guys that came through us, and
Yeah.
you can tell right away, like they should be a business owner. But luckily, for my own company, it's like they're going to be with us for a number of years, but they're going to branch off and have their own company. They will eventually be competition, and don't even hold them back for that. Tell them, go, you know what, you're going to kill this one day. And the more that you can develop them, the better that your company will do. And I think that's part of the feng shui of business. Again, it's like the universe knows you're trying to help these people and you're trying to build these people up. And it's like, hey, let's give this person everything they need, because again, it's optimizing for more people and helping more people simultaneously. So I think you got exactly the right way of thinking about it, man. So
Yeah, man. That's and I've told them too. I was like, if you guys ever want to start something on your own, like please ask me and I will do whatever is in my power
that's huge, dude.
to help you guys.
You know how many, if
Oh,
you,
it hurts me, like don't leave me yet, but if you ever do, just know that I'll
that's
help
huge,
you.
dude. I bet you if you interviewed 1,000 contractors, it's like very few of them would be on the same page as you. But I think that's huge. I think you're going to be massive, dude. Like I bet you, like, what is your long-term plans? Like, let's say it's a decade from now, right? Like, how old are you right now?
What was your question? I'm sorry.
How old are you right now?
I'm 31. I just turned 31. Yeah.
So let's say you're like 41. Like where do you want to be? Like, do you still want the business? Do you want to sell it one day? Like, what is your long-term goals, right?
That's the thing, right? Like, that's a really good question, and I think I need to find a lot of clarity with that. I one big thing that I've been seeing is, you build it up to a certain scale and then you sell, right? Because, you get, it's millions of dollars that you're selling it for, but it's like, I can go that route, or I can go the route of, let me build this for my family and my future kids so they have like a secure job too. So whatever's convenient, whatever feels right at the time. And I don't feel like I'm, betraying the guys or anything, because I feel like in 10 years, the business is gonna probably reach to a point where it's like nobody really cares. It's like, if you're gonna sell the business, just make sure, we don't get, people are still have their jobs. That's what's most important, that they can still provide for their families. But I
Funny
don't
enough,
know.
exactly what you just said is, I think you're thinking about it the right way. It's like the most valuable your business could ever be is the most it will run independently of you. So it's
Yeah,
like at that time that you can basically be sitting on a beach somewhere doing nothing, your business is running by itself. The
yeah,
exact time that you would never want to sell your business in like a million years is
yeah,
is the most valuable your business can ever be, because somebody else can come in and do the same thing. So it's
yeah,
like the more that you build this thing up so that you would never want to sell it, also inversely makes it the most valuable to other people. So it's like,
yeah.
I think you're thinking about it right. So
I hope so, Steve. I feel like every day is, a different beast. But yeah, like I just want to make sure everybody's good, and and like I said, I help everybody grow and keep their pockets full. And if I can help them make a lot of money, then that's awesome for me. So
I'm I'm curious about your philosophy on solving problems in business, because as we all know, is that problems always happen. And this is something that I learned from Steve working with him.
yeah,
And before I started working with Steve, I hated problems. I hated problems in business. It was like I didn't want any problem at all. And Steve was like, no, 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 no. There's always going to be problems in business that come up. Even when you're growing, you're going to end up with problems and he said, the businesses that are most successful are the ones that meet the problems head on and
yeah,
tackle them right away, embrace
yes,
that they're going to get problems and just take care of them. So the ones that succeed are the ones that figure out solutions to problems. So
yeah.
I'm kind of curious as to what your philosophy is on that.
Yeah. That's a really good question. I would agree 100% with what Steve told you. As soon as a problem arises, then for me it doesn't even matter like what's going on. Like, you fight the fire like you're a dang firefighter, like right away. Even if money doesn't even become an issue at that point, you just want to make sure that whatever's going on gets addressed as soon as possible, because yeah, you can't push it off. You definitely can't. For me, it's like I wouldn't be able to sleep if something happens, or a problem happens and I'm not already immediately like addressing it. Like, I'm just doing it at the end of the day, like I'm doing it for my sake, so I can sleep at night. But yeah, I need to fight the fire like right away. Doesn't matter.
the hardest part of it, and man, we go through this with the marketing company, well, it's any business, but it's like getting at the root cause of the problems. So it's like a fire that we fought for. This is just a recent example. It's like we kept getting ads rejected, and problems with, like, we're trying to run hundreds of accounts simultaneously. It's like we just all these like technical problems with the platforms with Meta. And then but Meta wouldn't tell us what specifically was happening. Like, we kept asking people. Then finally we had this really, and he's still with us, but it's a guy from corporate at Meta, and he meets with us about once a week, and we just break down, here's the issues that we're having. It's like, like, and then he had to sit down for a while and like look at it himself and go and solve the problem where he goes, oh, here's what you're doing wrong. I think you need to be uploading this differently and blah blah blah. And it's been a game changer for us. So it's like, but it took us a year to get to the source of the problem, and we were firefighting on like basically all these different little mini problems. But it's like, let's go right back to the source and solve it. It turned out to be something that we needed to adjust and whatever else. But yeah, the root cause is the toughest part of the problems.
Oh yeah, Sometimes it takes a lot longer than you'd want to, and those are the hardest ones, right? To swallow, like,
Well, another one is the root cause. Like this was me. Like I used to do all the sales. So like the first 5 years of the business, I did 100% of the sales. So it turned out then I had a secretary and I trained her and she outsold me. And then like, okay, well she can outsell me. Hell, we can have 5 more. So then we had 4 more, and the business just started to. So I was the root cause of the problem. I was the damn bottleneck,
the
right?
end of the day, it's a lot of times it's us, man. Yeah, it's our lack it's our mindset. It's you're gonna grow as big as whatever your mindset is. So yeah, I'm guilty of that too. Like just maybe not being truthful to myself. Like, why isn't this growing? Why am I not making enough money? And it's at the end of the day, it's you got to blame this guy. You got to blame.
Oh, dude, you have the exact right attitude towards business. It's like,
Yeah, man. I'm trying. But yeah. So that's yeah. It gets kind of tricky like that. So just want to do a good job.
It's kind of interesting because the way I see it a lot now with business and growing our business is it's kind of like rowing a boat in reverse, because normally when you row a boat you see where you've been, right? But now it's like we see where we want to go, but we're not looking back at our accomplishments and what we've succeeded on. And for example, with you, Oscar, I mean, to go from where you have in almost 20 months here, or 22 months, you're probably thinking, oh man, I'm not where I want to be, but you haven't turned around and looked at, wow, look where I was and look where I am now.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, rowing a boat while just without looking at what's in the front, just kind of taking things as they come, and growing as whatever bumps in the road. Yeah, that's extremely scary, and I think that's why most people they don't want to maybe or they start a business and then they have to go in kind of blindly and just kind of have faith and follow your gut. And that's why maybe they choose not to. It's a very uncomfortable feeling not knowing the future, but you just gotta take it day by day and kind of go from there. It is scary for sure.
What do you think?
It is. You have the right attitude that you just keep plowing forward to go forward, and that you. But are you doing anything to kind of celebrate your accomplishments at all?
You know what? Not really. Like that's one thing. It's like I'm not like satisfied yet, and it's like I mean I'm satisfied, but I don't even know how to say it. Like I'm proud, but I'm not like
it can be a lot more. That the potentials.
Yeah, so I don't really want to. I mean, we have. I mean, I've had dinners with the guys. I've invited them out. Like, hey, we did 1 million, right? Because our goal this year was to hit 1 million. Now we're at like I think like 1.9. So there's no reason why we shouldn't finish the year off with 2 million. So yes, it's also things like that.
The double-edged sword with the whole. We kind of switched over to start talking about how many installs that we're doing and giving them kind of pats. And it's like, hey, we did X installs this week, this month, or whatever. Because if it's a junior employee that doesn't understand the numbers, they'll think that you put $2 million in your pocket, right?
Oh my gosh.
Oscar's where's Oscar's Bentley, right?
He's a millionaire. Yeah, dude, I'm still driving my Tacoma, so that's one thing too, right? Like I'm not splurging on anything. Can I afford to get a brand new F-350? Most likely, yes, right? But I'm still in my 2013 Tacoma. Like, give me like 2 or 3 more years, then I'll maybe splurge myself with something that for me, it's the less payments that I have every month, the better it is for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least for now, that I'm trying to grow something and establish something. But yeah, I just had this conversation with one of my sales guys, and he was like, so we did 2 million, so that means you probably at least have about $1 million, and I'm like, dude, like, bless your heart, bro. Honestly, I just wanted to give him a hug, like, dude, like, I wish you knew, bro, like I wish, right? It's a big number, and it is, right? But it's like, no, dude, like, you have all these expenses, right? Like, you have all these insurances, so it's like, in order for me to have $1 million in the bank, like, I need to double my shit. I need to double my sales, right? Because there's so much that goes to play. But that just goes to show that people just don't know, right? The the only way that they'll ever know is if they ever once go through it. So yeah, it was just funny for him to like to tell me that. I was like, fuck, dude, is that really what you think, bro? Like,
It's
but
like,
maybe they think I'm lying. I don't know. You
yeah.
know, no, it's
It's
just
all. It's also. It can be if you get a bad apple, that can also create like if they think that you actually have that and they get resentful. You know, we've had employee, ex-employees that went around to all the suppliers and were stealing materials, and like we've had and I think some of that comes from resentment or them not understanding, or who knows where it comes from, but it's can be a dangerous thing.
very true, very true. So yeah, I mean, I told him the truth. I was like, nah, dude, not at all,
Well,
man.
it's a lot of contractors get into trouble. Like if they go from making X dollars an hour working for somebody else, they start their own business, and suddenly they have in their bank they have $300,000. They think, my God, I should buy a Porsche, right?
Yeah,
In reality, if you actually add up all of your current expenses, like you add your suppliers and you add this, that, and the other thing, minus, 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 oh, there's $9,000 in the account.
exactly. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, that's where people, because they've never seen, triple digits or
Yeah.
into the bank account, so they're
And
like,
they,
ah, it's so exciting, right? And I get it, it is right, but then it's like you can't lie to yourself, dude. Like you owe the supply house $60,000. You owe the IRS, let's say, I don't know, 50. Like, dude, like you can't lie to yourself, and that's why a lot of people are in debt because they
yep,
just see these numbers and they just want to
totally.
and it's just
They
like,
go
no,
and they're like, yeah, let's buy some whatever.
yeah, no, no, no. What about the new truck? What about, all this stuff, the training that you're about to pay for, the truck just took a shit, it's going to cost you $5,000. Like, it's just, there's so much, dude. I think the more capital that you have saved, the more comfortable you're going to be.
I'm a big
with your
believer in
business because,
keeping your
yeah,
feet to the fire too. So like once a month, like it depends on the type of, but if you're a capital intensive business like yours, like HVAC, where you have all this inventory and supplies and everything else. So to
yeah,
hold our feet to the fire, we called it a number crunch, which is basically a balance sheet, but not the bookkeeper accounting balance sheet. So
yeah,
we literally picked up the phone on the 31st of the last day of the month, every month, phoned every supplier. Hey, Bob, what do we owe right now up to today? Not last month. What do we owe right now to you? $41,231. So we write all that down, and then we would estimate our taxes at X% times how many months is, right? So it would take us probably 30 minutes once a month. And then that would tell us, hey, add all this stuff up. There's $300,000 out of all the bank accounts, or plus the inventory, add up all the bank accounts, and it's like 412. Like we'll know exactly down to the penny what we
yeah.
actually have, and it's a reality check every month. I found that
It
was
is. It is, and it's sometimes it sucks to see all that money go too. It's like, that's why you want to constantly look for a good pricing on equipment and
yeah.
all that good stuff, right? Because you know that money, that $100,000 that you might have in the bank, it's not even yours, dude. Like you owe that shit, So you gotta make sure. You just gotta make sure that you're doing a good job. You don't get excited with this money. It'll come. I have faith that eventually it'll come and I'll be able to spend that money. But for now, I need to really focus on
So
this.
everybody goes through hard times. So like, this is just how life works. It's like great, great, great. And then if things are too great, it's coming, the paddle's coming, sometimes. So when things get hard, what are your personal techniques or things that you do to get yourself back on track, get your head back on track, get your,
Yeah.
like, what is your, what is your techniques?
So yeah. So as far as techniques, I don't have anything specific, but just to like we talked about earlier, getting directly in front of the fire. But what's funny is that like when one bad thing happens, like you're thinking like, okay, it's just one thing.
Yeah.
And then another thing, and then another thing. And it's just this accumulation. So I like to think about it as I'm being tested by life, right?
Yes.
Life will never give you things, I mean, put things in front of you that you can't handle. So although you might be feeling overwhelmed, um, it's for a purpose. It's because life's preparing you for maybe the next step in your life or
I love
something. So
that.
my technique is just to like embrace it and just get through it. And
It's really interesting what you're saying. Like
yeah,
yours is, you got a foundation of a philosophy, and the philosophy is, you're going through this for a reason. The
yeah,
universe is putting these trials in front of you to build you up for something. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. So it's not like you're being punished. And I think if
No,
if you have if the wrong mindset, it's going to be a lot more painful to go through. So,
it's
and
true.
also I think
Yeah.
attitude towards attacking the problem square on immediately also helps.
Yeah.
It's it's
It's
kind of similar to what some, like, I don't have any military experience, but I had somebody who was in the military tell me that they were told to embrace the suck.
Oh man, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. So it probably got the seed will probably got implanted in my head when I was in the military. Embrace the suck. You don't know what's coming, and that's another. You know what? That actually explains some things too, right? Because in the military, we were never told what was going to be in front of us for tomorrow, right? Especially when we were in training. So the anxiety, the buildup of like, oh my god, how
Interesting.
bad is tomorrow going to suck? So you actually learn to kind of just not even worry about it, just worry about, the following morning and just kind of, approach it that way.
That's really interesting.
Sometimes
That's actually part of their training. They won't tell you what's coming.
It is.
That
It's
it's
all
that
part of it.
the
Yep.
bad news is even worse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so funny, yeah, but it's very true, and it's effective. It definitely works.
I
Interesting.
found a lot of times that the anxiety or worrying about what could possibly come is actually worse than what does happen at
Actually,
times.
that's happened. Yep. They say,
Right?
I think the statistic on that is like 9 times out of 10, like it's gonna be a lot less than what you think. You
Yeah.
know.
I'm curious as well, though, because it's going to be a two-part question.
Yes.
We have, we know that the majority of the people that we deal with, the companies that we deal with, are in California, Texas, or Florida. Obviously, there's huge population bases for those. So in California right now, so the first part of the question is, are you finding that there are any specific challenges in the heating and air conditioning business? And two, because of we're recording this in the last quarter of 2022 and economy is always changing, are you finding any challenges with the existing economy right now?
Yeah. I think that I think that there's a lot of competition. So I would say that's kind of like answering like your first question. So you want to make sure that obviously your pricing's right. And now we're starting to get hate from local competitors, which is crazy.
That's
And I've
that's a
always
good
That's a
sign,
good
man.
sign.
It's sign.
yeah, it is. Like even sometimes on the leads, like we'll get it and they'll say some funny things, man. And I'll show it to Ryan and he'll laugh. He's like, dude, yeah, that doesn't count or anything. But I'm like, well, I guess this is a good sign, because people are starting to hate it. But yeah, so there is a lot of competition. But that's why in the summer you build enough capital to make sure that you find shit to do for your guys, right? So, in the winter. So, and then I'm slowly getting into the commercial stuff. I have a really good mentor that's kind of walking me through a specific job, and he'll keep the guys busy for winter, but or that job will keep the guys busy, but yeah, that's the biggest thing here in Southern Cali. There's a lot of competition, so like everybody's doing their best. So I mean, just don't get discouraged. That's the biggest thing. Don't get discouraged. People are gonna hate, and that's
Are
pretty much that's pretty. I don't know if that answers your first question. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it does. On that first part of the question too, are you finding any challenges as in California when it comes to the push to switch from gas to electric for a lot of things?
You know what? Right now, yeah. So more and more people are starting to um, find out about these rebates, right? So these rebates are pushing homeowners to um, switch from obviously gas to heat pump, and they're getting like an incentive, right? I think it's like $1,000 or something. So, but as for right now, it's still pretty steady selling gas furnaces. Yeah, it's still pretty steady. As of next year, the lowest SEER minimum in California is going to be a 16 SEER. So
Hmm.
that's the biggest change that California is kind of going towards. But I mean, I know eventually they want to get rid of all the gas and go full electric and probably solar and all that good stuff. So
Well, and also heat pumps. Like I don't think it's going to be, it's you have to need to technically do all of it, but it's like it's not going to be horrific for the HVAC industry. I don't think it'll just be
yeah,
more expensive equipment.
exactly. Yeah, we're in a like I feel like it's a fortunate trade, because during COVID, so many people lost their jobs and stuff. And during COVID is when I made the most sales at the time, right? Because everybody was home, everybody wanted to be comfortable.
Mhm.
So it's a good trade. Despite all the traffic here in California with, all these, a bunch of businesses, I strongly believe that there's enough work for everyone. So, and, when people ask me if, how I did it, and I always shoot them towards HVAC grow, whether they want to
That's
trust me
awesome.
in that or not.
It's great to hear.
I mean, I
It's
wouldn't be here. Yeah, I wouldn't be here if I didn't trust you guys. I mean, you guys are the only marketing company that I pay. Um,
wow.
so yeah, of
Thank you. It's
course.
uh, it's interesting. I'm going to age myself here, so I apologize right off the bat. Is that
No,
the switch out from, say, gas to electric, or traditional condensers to heat pumps is not necessarily. It's actually a good thing for your business. And the reason why I'm making the comparison is that when everybody switched from, and I'm going to go back to the 80s, from everybody from switched from audio cassettes to CDs, the
oh,
record companies made more money again for all these people buying the same music that they were buying on cassette, now buying them on CDs. So it's
yeah,
kind of the same as that, well, people are still going to need to have heating or cooling. So they're just going to buy all that equipment from you again to
Hmm.
do that.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely. No, I'm trust me. I've even thought about like not even selling gas furnaces anymore and stuff. But I
Interesting.
mean,
And just the final part of that question I originally asked is that, are any concerns about possible downturn in economy here, or how that might affect your business? I know Steve's always told me, saying the HVAC industry is kind of recession proof for the most part,
It's
because
recession
people still need heating and cooling.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's it's resistant, but something I wanted to mention to you, like so sort of 2008, we had the dip, right? And I was
right.
in business then. So, but we kept going, like everything kept, but a bigger portion goes towards service. So, it's just something that you might want to take, your best installer that you think could do service. Like if the economy starts to get hit a little bit, you'll find less people doing replacements, and you'll find way more people just saying, I'm not going to replace it right now, I'm just going to repair it. But
Yeah,
like let's say it's an $800 repair to
yeah,
change whatever, it's like you can still make tons of money, but you might find your business might have to shift into more service. So
more
something
service.
just to kind of keep in mind, if the
Absolutely.
economy does get hit, you'll keep going. It's recession resistant, but you might have to start doing some more.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So, and for the most part, like most of the installers, they're pretty good service techs. I have an installer who has a degree in electrical engineering.
Oh
He's
wow,
from, he's from Mexico, so he's a
that's
beast. I
amazing.
mean,
Yeah, the electrical part's the hardest part of
yeah,
repairs. I mean, refrigeration can be tricky, but if they know how to use the gauges and all the tools, but if he's an electrician or electrical engineer, that's
yeah.
amazing skill sets for it. So
Oh, 100%. So he's a huge asset here. So and he also does service calls. He knows about ohms, and fucking McFarrads and microfarads. Sorry,
Hey,
McFarrads.
One one question we like to kind of ask people as we're kind of wrapping up on these things is, if you can kind of envision somebody who's, say, was in your position before you started your business, they're somewhere in their 20s, and they're like, their dream is to do exactly what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
What would you advise them? Or maybe they've already got their license, or I don't know, whatever, but like, what would you advise somebody starting up that wants to get in your position, to, like, some young guy that, or lady that wants to get into this?
Um, yeah, I would say do not get discouraged, man. We're only human. Even the most successful contractor went through what you're going through, so you're not alone. That's the big thing. A lot of people think, oh, and that's, don't be a victim. You're not a victim. Get that victim mentality out of your head. Um, so just ask questions, walk, the local shops. A lot of these owners are pretty cool, and they if they have a good heart, they'll definitely let you into their shop.
Nice.
And walk it, and just ask questions,
The
and
victim mentality, how do you think that plays into it for some people? Like,
oh,
what are you referring to there? Like, what would be an example of that?
why is this happening to me? Why don't I have enough work? Why can't I find good people? It's just being a negative Nancy. It really does play a huge toll,
Yeah.
on you. So just I would say, just, I don't know. It's the typical cheesy shit, right? Stay positive. Just make sure and just know that, you're going to be something. If you don't truly believe it, then it's probably true.
I love this. This entire podcast, I really, really enjoyed this because it's like every time we kind of scratch the surface of a question, you have like this philosophical kind of foundation.
So I know, dude. I'm like, it's
But
just shit to help me.
to me, I think it's the explanation of why you're successful. You have a very clear philosophy on how you operate in life, and I think no matter what you're doing, you would have been successful at. But I think a lot of people or anybody that watch this will get gems and learn from that because I think that's one of the most important things that you do differently probably than a lot of people. So.
Of course, yeah, man. It's huge. It all starts within.
Yep.
As weird as that is, man, but it's so true. You gotta make sure you're good. So that's how it is, guys.
I love it, right? I think we can probably wrap this up, but Oscar, feel free to promote. So obviously we're gonna get people listening to this who aren't in the heating and air conditioning industry that might be in Southern California and are looking for a new furnace, a new air conditioner, new heat pump. How do they get a hold of you? And what can you do for them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if anybody it would be interested in just asking questions, I'm still a student here, so I'm not gonna have all the answers, to everything. But yeah, they can definitely reach out to me on my Instagram. It's just EcoAir _, or my email, which is ecoair4@gmail.com. But yeah, or they can call the office and talk to my representative, and she can let me know that, hey, this guy wants to ask you some questions or whatever. But yeah, I'd love to help anywhere I can.
Right.
From the knowledge that I've so far built up right now.
But if anybody wants heating and cooling help for their home, they can.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah. So, we have a website, ecoairheatandcool.com. You guys can give us a call at 951-446-5968 for any air conditioning needs you guys may have. And, it's the winter, so prices are going to be a little bit lower than the summer. So, right now is definitely the time to buy and prepare for next summer. It's going to be another hot one. So
we'll put that info in the description below if it's on YouTube or Rumble or whatever, so that if people want to get a hold of you right away, they can that way. Right. So yeah, this is great. Fantastic.
Thank you guys, man. It was a pleasure. Yeah.
Yep. You've been great. And Steve, anything else before we wrap it up?
Really, really enjoyed this. So
thank you. No, it's always a good time, Steve. You know that. Yeah. We speak once a month or something like that. But it's always a good time, always good vibes, and always leave the Zoom meetings with a little bit more knowledge than I did before. So
love it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you guys. You guys have a good one, all right? Later.
Bye. Hey, listen up. Oscar just explained how he grew his business to $2 million in just 2 years with online marketing. He learned quickly that he needed to invest in marketing to get his business to grow. If you are a business owner like Oscar, you know how much of a pain it is to learn and then figure out how to drive leads to your business through online marketing. Whether you are a home service business owner in the HVAC, roofing, artificial turf, or renovation business, Results Grow can help you. Our team of home service industry online marketing experts will help you with unlimited, low-cost leads from social media advertising, getting your business in front of hundreds or thousands of people each day, complete ad design by our home service design and marketing experts, immediate and automated text message and phone follow-ups, exclusive and not shared leads only for your business. Plus, no long-term commitments. You can cancel at any time. All of this with a 100% don't pay until you get your first lead guarantee. Hallelujah. That's right. Do not pay us until you get your first lead. 100% don't pay us. That's our guarantee for you. Book a free consultation with us here at Results Grow and see how we can help you, whether it's HVAC, like Oscar, roofing, renovations, or more. The consultation is absolutely free. Head over to resultsgrow.com/free. We want you to grow your business like Oscar without having to do your own marketing. Whether you are tired of throwing money away on marketing that doesn't work, or even tired of trying to do marketing on your own, if we discover in this meeting we can't help you with your marketing during this consultation, we won't waste your time or your money. We'll let you know right away whether we can help you or whether we can't. Go to resultsgrow.com/free. That's resultsgrow.com/free. Now, back to the podcast.